It's returnability. I will never stop beating that drum because that is the easiest way to get me, as a retailer, to increase my orders. And also, as a retailer, allow me to have a little bit of confidence that I'm not losing my shirt on this. If it's returnable, in some cases, I might double my order.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting, so come and join the conversation. Eyes to approved, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
So I have this exercise bike, right?
Yes.
It's a 3-in-1. It is a recumbent, a regular bike, and an elliptical.
Yes.
I bought it in September of 2021, and it replaced the previous exercise bike I had for 7 years.
You'd had the previous bike for 7 years.
Yes.
Got it.
And the only reason that bike needed to be replaced was it wouldn't stop squeaking. I could never find out where it was squeaking from. I would take it apart. I would WD-40 every possible part. I'd put it back together, and it still squeaked.
Maybe you should stop renting it out to mice on Mouse Airbnb.
Maybe.
So
I got rid of it, and I got this new one. Less than a year and a half later, this new one has a problem. One of the bolts that holds a pedal in is stripped.
Okay.
So regardless of what kind of a washer nut setup you have at the end, it still unspools a little bit, and that makes the pedal slide back and forth going thunk, 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 thunk with every rotation.
Okay.
It also looks like that whole pedal may be a little bit bent, but it's that bolt. Okay?
Got it.
I have the specifications for that bolt. I have the dimensions. I cannot find a replacement bolt. And I also cannot get that bolt out of the piece that it's in.
Weird.
To replace it.
Weird. But I thought the bolt comes out.
It's supposed to.
No, I mean, I thought that was the problem.
Oh, no, the washer, I'm sorry, the nut at the end doesn't stay on.
Okay.
That's the part that's stripped is at the very end.
Got it. Okay.
So it feeds all the way through a whole cylinder, but it's the end bit that comes off a little bit that makes it move.
Okay.
So it's very annoying.
Yes.
It's also more expensive than the old one. It's the same brand, but like the newer model.
Sure.
I had the other one for 7 years. This one, not even a year and a half. And I cannot...
Wild guess that there's no warranty on this.
Yeah, definitely not.
Okay.
Even if there was, it would have been expired.
Maybe.
To replace it, it is on sale right now. That's $3.
Yeah. They come fast.
For $100 off of what I paid for it, I don't want to spend the money for it. I don't have the money.
It would probably be not a great idea to buy the exact same model.
It would have
unless
to go
you
on
could get like a 5-year warranty on it.
But I know this model. I like this model.
Sure.
And I did a lot of looking before I bought it. Because honestly, it's such a change from the previous one that I thought it was a whole different company.
Sure.
They've just changed a lot of their marketing and their labeling and what have you.
Makes sense.
So I don't know what to do. And I use that literally every day.
It's true.
And to replace it, it would take a little bit of time. But to try to fix it would take forever.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of an inconvenience it is to the other people around who may hear it as it's thunking.
Sure.
And that is my analogy of the comics industry.
Interesting. You're going to have to unpack that for me a little bit.
You can't do it yourself?
Nope.
So, on the whole, it's a useful, productive, dare I say enjoyable tool, situation,
Got it.
event. But one tiny bit breaks down and it kind of ruins the whole thing.
Is there a specific tiny bit you can think of in this analogy?
That's the problem. There's too many.
Okay, so it sounds like less of like a single ineffective element and more like a systemic breakdown where the entire thing is falling apart.
Yeah, let's call it the multiple distributorship.
Got it. Okay.
That is in fact
Really
impacting every other aspect.
I was thinking the other day, and I do this sometimes, where my memory...
Think?
Yeah, no, not often. Where my memory is clear enough that I can think back to an earlier time in my life. And in this instance, I was thinking about how just a few years ago, reorders were 1 day a week.
Yeah.
Literally 1 day a week, we'd get a pile of boxes from UPS, via UPS from Diamond Comic Distributors. And all of the week's restock would be in there. Graphic novels, comic books, toys, special orders, all of it. Those boxes, you unpack them, you check everything in. And
then we stacked piles up.
Everything in was one invoice where you just went boom.
And make photos and put them on Instagram. Like, look how many books we got in.
Yeah. Now it's multiple deliveries every single day. And it's 1 billion hours of work. And that's just one small section rather than like... And not even talking about initial orders and FOCs and all the other stuff. That's just, so much work. Unbelievable amounts of work.
If anyone listened to me on David Harper's off-panel podcast last week, or technically this week, I guess, the most recent episode, that topic comes up.
I'm sure.
And
every store deals with it.
Yeah.
If you don't have a complaint about how many distributors there are, it means you're not using a lot of distributors, which is a whole separate problem with your business.
Yeah. And honestly, we're not even using as many as we should.
No.
There's a couple that we should use and probably need to use, but that would just add even more work. So we're a little hesitant to. Yeah,
there's a couple distributors that we use like Hachette that have so few things that we only do restocks with them maybe every 4 to 6 weeks because it's hard to hit their very small minimums based on what we stock, what they carry, and what's currently available.
I threw a book for me in the Ingram cart.
Okay.
Based off of an Ed Brubaker recommendation.
Got it.
It's one of those comics without pictures.
Gross.
Yeah, I know, right? So I alluded to being on off-panel. And
how was that, Patrick? Did you have fun?
I always have fun talking to David.
Sure.
I didn't realize how dark the conversation was until David called it out and kind of tried to say that, like, he's basically like, hey, I wasn't really expecting this, and this isn't usually what we talk about.
Yeah.
And while that's true, he also did start with, and this is not verbatim, but he also started with, why does everything suck?
Yeah.
As opposed to, what do you love about your job?
Yeah.
You know, that
he knows
really...
who he's talking to.
That set the tone for the way it goes. No, I'm not usually that pessimistic when I talk to him.
Just when you talk to me. Thanks.
He's I have him fooled. He thinks that I'm way more positive than I am.
Sure.
And he even called that out. He's like, wow, you're usually like one of the most positive people I ever talk to.
Well, I think the difficult thing for some people to understand is that you love the medium, you hate the industry.
And I think that's what I tried to get across.
You usually do, like, by the end of a really, like, dark episode or diatribe is the, like, look, I love comics. I don't like the comics industry. And it's like, being able to separate those two is I think, crucial. And I think for a lot of people, maybe they don't think that way. But for us, it's a survival mechanism. Like, we couldn't do our jobs if the comics medium and the comics industry were the same thing in our brains.
Oh, for sure. We wouldn't want to.
No.
After Andrew listened to the podcast, I asked him, I said, so is it super negative or there's there positivity at the end? He's like, it's a little negative, but, justified. But, your love for comics really comes through. I'm like, well, that's what I hope for.
That's good.
Here's an anecdote that I told on Instagram, but people may not have seen that. Mm-hmm. While we were talking after the first few minutes.
You and David Harper?
Yes. I was walking around. This is the first time we did it via video as opposed to just audio.
But it's an audio.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's just so we could see each other, not another
thing.
Okay. But then he got like close-ups of the store or my face, because he was sitting at a computer. I'm walking around holding my phone.
Sure.
And there's a certain point where he was getting this interference. He was getting a weird, like, metallic clicking noise. And he asked if my phone was banging against something. And I said, no, I'm just holding it as I walk around. What I realized right away is that it was my earrings. As I'm walking, they're swinging back and forth and hitting the AirPods.
Oh, the little, like, the stem of the AirPods.
Yeah, the stem that hangs down. It was clicking against those.
Yeah, that'll do.
So I had to put the phone down and take my earrings out for the rest of the conversation.
What you do for David Harper.
I
hope he appreciates it.
It's pretty hilarious. I haven't had to take my earrings out for work since I was in college.
No.
But if you listen to the first few minutes, you hear a tink, 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 tink.
That's so funny.
And he caught it after like 4 minutes. He's like, what is that? But then like he had I put the phone down, and then I like move to get the earring out, so then he gets a giant, like my face right in the screen.
On Monday...
But he didn't, he edited that out, so people did not hear that little bit.
Hear the removal of the earrings. On Monday, Molly, Jane, and I were waiting for the UPS delivery because it included all the PRH stuff, Marvel, IDW, for the week. And the day was getting later, and the books hadn't shown up yet. And I kept hearing the sound of the UPS cart hitting the concrete, which is a very specific sound, and I've grown used to it because, again, we get deliveries every single day.
Yeah.
So even if the UPS truck isn't right outside the store, like it maybe is parked at the end of the block, I can hear the cart, and it's like, okay, cool, I'll look outside. There's the UPS truck ready for the delivery. Let's clear off the counter. But I kept hearing it, and I look, and it's not there. And then I realized later in the day, oh, it is the exact same noise as a nail gun that's farther away from the store than the UPS truck would be. The distance makes it sound like...
Yeah, no, I can hear it.
That very specific...
I can put that together in my head.
Chunk. That thin metallic chunk of the cart. And...
Our cart makes the same noise every Tuesday when I'm unpacking, but it's in the garage. You don't hear that.
Yeah. So that was another time where sounds were distracting, and I thought they were one thing, but then they were another.
Well, today was a day at the store.
It was.
So what does that mean?
Nobody came
Deliveries? Oh. No, definitely no one came in.
Uh-huh.
I've started several
Stop looking at
Friday
like,
podcasts.
1:30. I was like, meh.
This was the worst Friday we've had in forever. No, this is. This was
I believe it.
The worst Friday we've had in years. Friday the 13th, man. I don't know. People scared to shop?
Maybe.
What was it?
I don't know.
They didn't do this bad yesterday.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm not in tomorrow to make up all that ground. So that pressure is on you, my friend. Right on you. So the UPS guy usually shows up fairly early on Fridays. And he showed up at 11:40.
Okay.
And Gina's like, I hope it isn't 18 boxes like it always is. Well, it was one tiny reorder box.
Okay.
2 tiny reorder envelopes.
Okay.
A giant box of cardboarded posters.
Oh, right, yes.
And all of next week's Marvel books.
Yay! Did you guys open those?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I don't know if you're going to leave them for tomorrow.
No trades.
No, those usually don't show up until Monday or Tuesday.
But because suddenly there's a holiday again.
Yeah, that's right.
These 3 holidays back to back to back is kind of a lot.
It's been weird. It's definitely shifted around a lot of deliveries and orders in a way that has been...
And payroll. And it takes, because of the way we do our processing now, it takes an extra day or 2 normally now, and then you throw in a holiday, and it pushes it back even further.
Yeah.
And this is the 3rd time in the last 3 weeks that this has happened. It's very frustrating from a bookkeeping standpoint.
I believe it.
Especially when you have a set bookkeeping routine that Monday holidays constantly disrupt.
Sure.
And that is the case again this upcoming week because of Martin Luther King Day on Monday. And I've asked a bunch of people and everybody's working.
Yeah. PRH isn't.
Huh. The UPS guy's like, you guys open on Monday? I'm like, yeah, we're only closed Christmas Day and Thanksgiving. So plenty of deliveries for us. Not for me, I'm off.
Yeah.
Then why did you ask?
Must
but
be.
what he means is Monday is his day off, not
right.
UPS. I'm sure
We'll see.
We'll be there.
I will let you know.
So I go to check the posters in, and it's only half.
Oh, 1 box instead of 2?
1 box instead of 2.
Interesting.
And then I look, and it says 1 box of 2. And then I check the tracking, and it says that 2 boxes were delivered. Signed for by Dal Bush.
Incorrect.
Oh, I know that's incorrect.
Patrick, I didn't work today.
I know that. They were dropped off at reception.
I didn't sign for anything.
And I thought, this happens a lot. UPS misses a box.
Sure.
And they come back.
Yeah. So on Monday or Tuesday, UPS is dropping off. And the guy leaves everything by the counter and turns the cart to go out the door. And I look at the cart and I say, hey, there's still something on there.
Yeah, that was Tuesday.
It was a small, single book envelope. But he's like, oh, thank God you found it because I'd have to come back. Because they do. They come back when they find extra boxes on the truck.
Or do they?
And
then when they don't, you think, is this a problem? So you write up an email to Poster Emporium acknowledging that they're probably not going to be able to help you.
Right.
And then you hold off sending it, and then you wait and think, it's on the truck, right? Like, he's going to find it and bring it back, right? 4:48 comes back.
Unbelievable.
Well, lucky it's only 25 posters, so it's really easy to pack.
Sure.
Here's the thing, though.
Here's the thing.
I order Poster Emporium quantities based off of the way they ship. It used to be 60 posters in a box.
Okay.
Then the last couple times I checked, I'm like, hey, what is it now? It's 50.
Okay.
Okay, great. I ordered 50. 2 boxes. Two boxes of 25 each. So just say that, so I know it's increments of 25.
Yeah. That doesn't seem
That's
difficult.
different than 50.
It is. It's true. Because you could have done 75.
Because I could have done 75. And I could have done 75, but I thought I had to get to 100.
Right.
So it's like, okay, fine, I don't. And now, I mean, it's on them.
Yeah.
That's on you.
It's on you. They could have made a sale of 25 additional posters, but
That's right.
They didn't.
And now we'll be out of our posters that much sooner because of the way they kept that information
Unbelievable.
from me. And when he brought it back, it was like ice cold. It was such a
Weird.
cold box. But it was no big deal to open it, check them in, price them, and put them out. It was very quick because of the way we handle posters.
I'm sure. You guys are very efficient.
Well, I just mean we as the store handle
I know,
posters.
but you guys are also very efficient.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
So, the way we handle posters, it's the same for the Marvel posters that come rolled, right? Because we unroll them and bag and board them.
Yes.
But as such, we remove the barcode from consideration.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We treat each poster as a generic $11.99.
Sure. I just didn't know
Poster
because
item.
those specifically came as items with barcodes.
We don't receive them.
If you went in after receiving them and changed the prices and
Nope, we don't receive them.
because somebody bought a Scarlet Witch poster today and I couldn't find it in inventory and I'm like, I assume we don't do this.
No.
That same person is someone who is technically in our subscription service, but just for one book, one 4-issue miniseries,
Okay.
who doesn't realize they're in the subscription service, and is someone that talked to you via email before about how it works.
Okay.
And then came in today with more questions and basically said, I really want to subscribe to a bunch of books, but I want to be able to pick the covers every time. And then, as we've talked about many times on this podcast, I had to say, then you can't subscribe. You have to special order. You have to pre-order each cover. And I went over it a bunch of times.
Yeah,
and
the way Managed Comics works, you can't subscribe to Scarlet Witch, but pick your cover every single month.
Right.
You are then special ordering a cover for Scarlet Witch every single month.
And I understand that, and I don't have a problem with it.
Here's what I find.
What? No, I didn't ask you for anything. Apparently this episode is co-hosted by Siri.
Thank you, Siri.
I understand it. I don't have a problem with it. I just wish it was easier to impart or for people to understand or maybe called something different.
Yeah, I mean, not to harp on the thing that we were talking about fairly recently, but yeah, the biggest problem is just communicating to people who use Managed Comics what exactly they're doing and how it works. And there was a guy who was in earlier this week, and it was I talked to him on the phone Monday or Tuesday. I talked to him in the store Wednesday, and I will probably end up having to talk to him via email at some point in the near future because he had some of it was stuff that anyone inevitably would have a question about, because basically this guy had found covers for Amazing Spider-Man that he really wanted to pre-order and couldn't find them in the system. He couldn't find them in Managed Comics. He didn't know what he was doing wrong. What he was doing wrong was not realizing that the cover that he was being shown from a fan website was a cover you can only get through an artist's website or through a specific storefront that wasn't categorized in the fan forum post.
And that is an occurrence that happens a lot that
All the
we
time.
are unaware of because we are not given access to those covers.
Yeah.
Nobody says...
Marvel doesn't say, here's every cover for Amazing Spider-Man 18 that anyone's publishing anywhere in the world.
Yeah. So most of the time it's us looking it up and putting two and two together and realizing, oh no, that's the J. Scott Campbell website exclusive.
Yeah, or hearing
whatever.
through the grapevine like, oh, there was a cover that you could only get from Eminem.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we weren't told that by PRH or by Marvel. We had to hear about it at other places so that when people were asking us for a cover, we had to go, you can't get that in a store.
Yeah.
You got to go to a website. I'm sorry that wherever you heard this from didn't make that clear.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that aspect of it is not a managed comics problem. That's a general comics industry problem where people who are new to collecting don't realize how many different channels you can get stuff from now. The idea that they can just go to a comic shop and get access to everything has not been the case for years.
The same person I was talking to had said something along the lines of, he thought everything on the website is reflected in the store. Like, if it says you don't have it on the website, you don't have it in the store. I'm like, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah, what were they thinking of?
All sorts of new releases that he was looking for on Wednesday online that we didn't have up because it was Wednesday.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I had that explanation of, those don't go up until Thursday. We want people who come to the store to have a chance, prioritize that. And he said that he's going to rethink how he buys things because he thought doing it all online was easiest. He's learning that it's not.
Okay.
And I explained to him that technically he is already a subscriber. He does have a book in the system. He has a divider in our boxes.
Right.
Actually, he didn't. I made it today, but he is down for, an upcoming series. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've said a million times that if there was some way to get rid of the subscription service, I would do it in a heartbeat. I find it to be something that is not only a ton of additional effort for us, but also something that creates a lot of headaches in a way that we have things on the shelf or on the website, you come and buy them, the end, is way less problems, way less headaches. And it allows us to focus our efforts more on salesmanship than on fulfilling orders in some weird background way that people never quite see, but we exercise all of our time doing. The thing I would maybe do is I think about it in terms of just like how you pre-order stuff on other sites. You pre-order a thing. Here's a list, you hit a button, I'm getting that thing. Instead of and you pay for it, and then when it comes in, here it is. But even that I don't want to do. I don't want to do any of it. I want to just get comics in and people come buy them. And they ask questions about them, and they talk about them, and that experience gets more primacy in our day-to-day lives.
Oh, don't worry. On a day like today, people got a lot of the conversation aspect of our store.
Was it mostly your analogy about the exercise bike?
No, I got that. That actually came to me on the way home tonight.
Nice.
It wasn't. It was definitely pre-planned as the opening for this episode,
Sure.
but it also had a veiled second purpose.
Are you hoping someone knows what bolt you need out there and they can pass it along?
No.
Okay.
No. I said it was veiled. It wasn't super obvious.
I see.
It was specifically for one person.
Mm-hmm. Jesus. Was it for Jesus?
He's not one person. He's a whole...
I don't want to get into a theological debate.
You brought it up!
It wasn't supposed to be a debate. It was a question.
What is the answer to your question if not a debate?
That's true.
No, it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, you were saying?
We had some attempts at generating conversations on Wednesday. Some of it was because I was thinking about, I think you'd said it in a recent episode, that it was...
And on off-panel. There's no comic chatter.
Just that there's no comic chatter. And then Wednesday, there were portions where it was kind of looking for something to do. So the topic of debate was, not even debate, just a conversation topic.
I don't want this to be a debate.
Was, how much do you keep up on your books?
That's a good question.
It's always the thing I wonder about, because everyone kind of, you'll talk about how behind you are on certain things, and I always wonder, for customers, are you keeping up with everything every week?
Here is
for the people who come in every Wednesday.
Quote that I have.
And you got your pulls. Do you read everything before the next pulls?
No,
or do
they
you...
definitely don't.
Well,
here's the
not
quote.
the case.
No comic fan is caught up. Everybody has a to-read pile. There's something in everybody's to-read pile. If you don't have anything to read, you're not buying enough.
It's true. As it would turn out, most people had a small to large chunk of stuff that they needed to get to. Some people maybe saved up things for later in runs to get through a ton of it at once. Some people just, eyes bigger than their stomachs, where they would get stuff and they just wouldn't have time to read it. It was interesting because even in talking about it, you could see some people start to do the math and be like, I gotta get back on that. People were having these sort of realizations that their reading needed to take over a larger slice in the pie chart.
Sure. It's a little bit different for you and I.
Right.
Mainly because A, you don't buy that much.
No.
But B, I spend most of my week cramming the new stuff in that I'm not buying.
Right.
So I'm prepared for it if people are talking about it, yet I let the things I buy fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
I'm 3 issues behind on each Wolverine, Immortal X-Men, X-Men Red.
You're about 7 years behind on Saga.
Yeah, that sounds right. What, like 35?
Yep. That's 7
I do have a thing to talk about Saga later, though.
Okay, cool.
Is it cool?
Is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
Ultimately, I think I'm okay with it.
Okay.
They've made a change.
What's the change? Just talk about it now. You brought it up.
They're raising the cover price.
Okay. I think that's fair.
After 10 years,
Great.
it's now $3.99.
Wow. Todd McFarlane, the one holding the line at $2.99.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think $3.99 is fine. And as a greedy capitalist, I will say that I appreciate it because Saga is one of our highest selling books.
Yeah,
and
no,
we make
no,
$1 more per issue. So thanks for that.
Well,
BKV and Fiona.
technically.
I
but
know. We make more on a $3.99 comic than we do on a $2.99
Yes.
comic.
We also spend more on a $3.99 comic, but we still come out ahead.
Yeah. The percentage doesn't change. It's just... Yeah,
There was no
fine.
announcement. They just showed off cover art, and it's got a new price
It's got a
tag on it.
$3.99 instead
Yeah.
of $2.99.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's fine, especially for a lot of the Saga fans who only buy Saga. So then spending an extra $1 a month is probably 6 months a year is probably not going to be a huge inconvenience for them. I hope. My method of keeping up on comics is one that I don't buy single issues. So it's all stuff that I read for the store.
That's not entirely true.
That's a dinner table.
Single issue.
It is. Thank you for
Triple issues, in fact.
pointing out the fallacy as though my argument now has no basis in reality. Well,
No, I don't want people to think that you're not like them. I want them to realize that
I buy
yes,
other stuff. I
you
buy
too
comics.
buy single issue comics, but mainly graphic novels.
I honestly probably should just switch to the digital version of QDT, considering I read almost entirely on my iPad now when I'm reading that book. But I like supporting them in the print editions as well.
So you read it differently. You do a little more trades.
Yeah, well, I'll buy trades and stuff of things that I feel like I have to have in my library. But when it comes to the regular single-issue comics, it's all stuff that I'm reading for work or keeping up with so that I can feel like I'm engaged with the industry. And some of it's for pleasure. But in general, it's all stuff that I'm reading from the store, so it's not things that I can just keep at home indefinitely. I need to get them back to the store before they go on the shelves. So there's a very narrow window between when we actually get the books in and when they go on the shelves, and that's where I can read everything for the week. So things are it's a very strict deadline. I can't just let stuff wait another week or two. It has to go back to the store. We've got to be able to sell it. So what I end up doing is not so much keeping a pile of stuff I've got to get to someday. I cut stuff real fast. If I can't read it by the deadline of when it goes on sale, I'm not reading that book anymore. So on especially big weeks, I end up making cuts on my list more or less because it's just now I don't have time to get through Marauders or Legion of X. So it's done. Not reading the next issue of that because I couldn't get to this one. Stuff like that.
That's fair. There's got to be
Still
a catalyst
very big list.
to anybody's pausing or stopping of reading a series.
Yeah, and some of it is just a combination of one, no one's really talking about it, so it's not a thing I feel like I have to keep up on even if I'm not enjoying it. But two, it's also something where I'm just not enjoying it.
But what if it's you who's supposed to be the one talking about it?
No, I don't. I think people have made up their minds on a book like Marauders by this point.
Okay.
I don't know that there's going to be unless there's a drastic change in the creative team, at which point I will try it out again.
When you say people aren't talking about it, where are you looking to see who's talking about what?
Mostly, when I say talking about it, more of what I mean is just people adding it to their list.
Okay. I didn't know if you meant critics online or...
I don't read anybody online.
YouTube review shows, which
Don't watch
you're
anyone
so
on YouTube.
Fond of.
No, sometimes if it's a newer book, people will talk about it in the store, but mostly it's just them asking, is this any good? What's it about? Should I be reading it? Like you were saying before, there's not a ton of feedback in the sense of, people coming in saying, hey, I read last week's Batman. It was great. We don't really get a lot of that. So the discussion is either, should I be reading this or put this on my list? That's kind of it.
Sure. I did have someone call today saying, hey, I was looking at your website and it said you had this specific book. Can you confirm to me that you have it? And I said, fine. And then they asked for it and I found it on the shelf. I said, yes, we do have it. And they were very excited because they already bought a copy from another store, but there was a little dent or a crease and they didn't want it.
Okay.
So they wanted to come get ours.
Uh-huh.
And they had said, if you have it, can you just put it aside? And part of me just wanted to say, you can just buy it on the website. But I'm like, no, they want to look at the condition. It's fine.
Yeah.
We'll hold it. So they came in, they got the book. Actually, it was sold to the person right before them by mistake. But that was taken care of. When there's multiple piles on the counter,
I understand.
it's easy, especially when people may look the same in the store. And then when that person rung up and they said, did I buy this? And Gina's like, oh, yeah, I thought you were the other guy. Whoops. Fine. It was all fine. And then they had questions about, like, hey, I'm new to this. I thought this was a really fun series. Like, I hear about boxes. Do you have boxes to store books? Sure, let me give you a speech on boxes. And ultimately it was like, well, do you have, like, one that holds 75 comics? No, there's no quarter-size boxes.
What if you got 4 of the comic folios? How about that?
That's what happened.
Yeah, I did it.
No, I did it.
We both could have done it.
Because I'm like,
I would have done it.
Look at these.
I would have been
This
like,
may
if
be
you
what
got
you want.
75, put them in these, put them on a bookshelf,
Yeah.
you're good to go.
Yeah. So, yes, that's the way that it went.
I'm a professional too, Patrick.
And he kept saying, like, yeah, like, I only have a couple of graphic novels. Like, I bought Dark Knight from you guys a while ago, but is this stupid? I'm like, there's no stupid way to do it. You're buying comics because you think they're good and you want to read them.
Also,
that's not stupid at all.
Also, yes, comics are stupid.
Yeah, but the way he's buying them isn't.
No, the method is not stupid. The medium is stupid.
Well, the industry is definitely stupid.
No, the industry is bad. The medium is stupid. I can't. I love comic books.
I know you do.
I do. Comic books gave me It's Jeff, which just concluded its second season on Marvel's Unlimited app.
Yeah, we had several more people subscribe to it today alone.
Don't worry, at the end of issue 24 of It's Jeff on Marvel Unlimited, they said they will be coming back for more in 2023.
Ooh!
Season 3.
So one of the things you have to do now when going through the new requests from subscribers via Managed Comics, specifically depending on the name of the subscriber, I personally have to double check every book to make sure that the order cutoff hasn't closed and that is a thing that we can still order. There's very specific names that I'll double check everything on.
Yeah, that's fine.
And it's funny because when I first went to it this morning, there was a full page of things.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I can approve 2/3 of these.
Sure.
A third of these I need to go back in
Yeah.
and double check. And you saw the email we got today? Somebody had emailed about March variant incentive covers.
Oh, yeah.
All by Christian Ward.
Yes.
And it was just like, I want these, how much are they? And I want shipping to be as cheap as possible, so hold them all.
Right.
And my reply was, we're definitely not getting half of these.
Yeah, there was like a 1 in 50 where I'm like, no.
Yeah. And also, the other ones, don't know if we're getting. We haven't ordered them yet.
Yeah.
We have to gauge pre-orders and gauge what interest is and then worry about FOCs. I can't guarantee you we're going to get any of these books on this list.
No.
And
We don't know what the sales are for the previous issue
I
yet.
know that is not the optimal answer to give the person. I would much rather say, yeah, we'll put these aside for you. But I can't.
When it's an incentive cover, because of the way the industry works, I don't think it's right to guarantee it. Like,
Correct.
I don't feel comfortable doing that. And that's the thing that there's probably bigger stores out there that can guarantee them. I don't feel comfortable doing that. So good news, there are other stores that can accommodate that. Like if you want to pre-order some of those specific covers, I'm sure there's a variety of either eBay stores or online storefronts that will take care of that for you. I am okay with Challengers not being your resource to pre-order incentive covers. We don't allow subscribers to do it, so I don't really feel like doing it for walk-up traffic.
Right. And I wanted to try to convey that in as friendly of a way as possible.
Of course. You don't want to say your money's no good here, but you also want to point out like the thing you're asking for is not something you are going to find us being able to accommodate on a regular basis. Like bending over backwards to do it for this person one time is just telling them you will do it for them every time.
Yeah. It's important to be firm up front.
Yep. It's good to set boundaries. I mean, that's the thing that I think we've always had trouble doing as retailers, where we want to make things as frictionless and pleasant for customers as possible. And in doing so, we end up setting baselines of expectation that then years later we're like, I wish we'd never done that in the first place.
You cut somebody's steak one time, and then they expect you're doing it forever.
I guess.
But I appreciated them asking us.
Sure.
And I wondered why they asked us specifically, because that's not a thing we are known for.
We had gotten emails from them before. They had,
I believe I remember one recently.
Bought Spy Superb Christian Ward variant from us.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Clearly a Christian Ward fan.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine.
That's the upshot of variant covers and incentive covers where I can kind of get on board with it, is when people are like, I love that artist and I want to own more art from them and I will get whatever cover they do. Like, that's not how I collect things, but I can understand that type of collecting.
Of course. Yeah, for sure.
Like, I don't even get every Guru Hero variant. You know what I mean?
Right. But we'll order them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for the store,
and that's the same thing as you buying them, because you're buying them for your store.
I mean, I thought about that when I passed by a stack of Captain America Symbol of Truth? The Sam Wilson one.
It's Sentinel of Truth,
Sentinel of
Symbol
Liberty.
of Liberty.
Sentinel of Liberty, Symbol of Truth.
No, it's Sentinel of Truth, Symbol of Liberty.
Soraya.
And yes, I'm deliberately mixing up the names on purpose.
Yeah.
Because Marvel themselves did that on a cover.
On a J. Scott Campbell
They
variant.
they absolutely got the final word wrong, because there's...
It's like Symbol of Liberty, I think is what they put. Or something.
Yeah.
Or like, nope, that's the... Nope. But it was specifically the Sam Wilson, It's Jeff, Guru Hero variant, where I'm like, that's such a cool cover. I should own that. And then I went, no, you don't need to own it.
You do. You own all those stacks.
I do.
Well, you half own
I
those.
didn't even take one home. I wasn't like, I gotta have this at home in a box somewhere where I'll never see it.
It's fine. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do with all your stuff? Play with it all the time.
I do, yeah.
I was talking to Daniel Warren Johnson this week about the Minoru Suzuki action figure I just gotten.
Mm-hmm.
And
Storm Collectibles.
I sent him a picture and he said, "Do you open your toys? How is it?" And I said, "Eventually I open my toys. This one I opened right away. It's great, except for his very weird thin rubber chest, which looks fine, but freaks you out when you touch it."
Also, he's a bizarre tan color that he has never been in real life as long as I've seen Minoru Suzuki. Maybe there was an earlier stage in his career where he was
orange.
That kind of orange.
I had to. We have Unnatural for the Shelf now, which is a book that we'd stopped carrying for the shelf.
Yes.
Well, we've had some
alterations to our subscriber base.
Club member vacancies.
Mm-hmm.
And
people got dropped.
Where it is placed on the shelf is right by the back door.
Yes.
And Gina noticed that every time you close the back door, the change in pressurization and, the gust blows it open to a full page of naked pig boob.
Should probably bag that book then.
Oh, it's bagged. It's bagged now. But Gina said, "Do you know how many times I've walked over here and seen this giant page of pig boob?" And I thought that was a hilarious way to describe it.
Although now that we bagged it, now there's no chance of selling it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's okay. Instead we have the Tula Black Cloak cover.
Okay, cool.
That is also, not pigs, but sirens.
A tad bit nipply.
Just right there on the cover. We didn't do anything. It's very tasteful.
Yeah, I don't mind it being on the shelves. It's fine.
But it's also right at the front counter.
That's fine too.
Kids
got to learn about mermaids someday.
And pigs.
Do you want them learning about it on the street or in a bookshop?
Or a farmyard? Here's the thing I noticed today, which makes perfect sense, but it still made me laugh.
Okay.
You cannot pay for a gift card with a gift card.
That's correct. They grade out.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, to be clear, you can't pay for a Shopify gift card with a Shopify gift card.
Okay.
You could potentially pay for it with a Square gift card.
There was a point where we had to use Square for a transaction today because it just stopped the little error message saying, can't connect to... What's it called?
Chipper.
Can't
Chipper
connect to
2.0.
So while it was trying to reboot...
Yeah.
And it's not Chipper you have to reboot, it's Shopify you have to reboot.
Yeah, the POS app.
So I had to quickly just throw a Square transaction on, but then it's like, oh, now we need to wait for this to open up.
Yeah.
Like, I said to the person, "I'm very sorry, all I want to do is take your money, and I can't do that right now." But it worked out fine.
That's great.
I just like the idea of, and it makes perfect sense. You should not be able to pay with a gift card for a gift card.
Nope.
We do our monthly Patreon shout-outs the first week of the month. But since then, we have a new shout-out patron who didn't get shouted out. So thank you, Holly Aitchison, for being a patron. And also for today's thread about Linktree specifically, based off of things that I had been said and I had been told. And Holly wanted to point out that it's possible the information I was given, while not necessarily wrong, could be considered incomplete.
Thanks, Holly.
So I felt better. And I had changed our Linktree a little bit. I didn't do everything I was told, but now I felt better about it.
Great. Good news.
And I think I will now also be leaning on Holly more for marketing advice.
Good idea.
Got to get her on retainer.
No, keep getting pro bono advice.
On the way home, I can't remember if it was before or after I was thinking about the exercise bike analogy.
Mm-hmm.
My iPod, or my phone, basically, is just on shuffle. And one of the earliest Divorce Gun songs came on from 1993.
Wow.
So long ago.
30 years ago.
Is that some people who may or may not even co-host this podcast weren't alive for years yet when that came out.
Me.
But listening to that specific song, it was like the second song we wrote together.
Mm-hmm.
There's all the earmarks of everything I still do today.
Yeah.
The structure.
Vocally or like?
No. It's funny you should say that, because lately, as we're slowly getting the new album pieced together, I realize what Bob is asking for from me is that vocally that version.
Okay. The 30 years younger Patrick Brown.
Well,
that seems like a big ask.
No, the way I approached it back then.
Okay.
Not the way I do it now.
Okay.
But it's funny to me to see, like, oh, no, these are
how
habits
you structure a song, how
that
you'd
have been there. Yeah, exactly. Literally, like, and this doesn't have as direct of a correlation to the comics industry, but maybe you can find one by the end of it. Usually when I'm writing lyrics, I write the middle verse first, and then I can go back and do the first and the last.
Okay.
So I, like, basically...
You don't come in with an opening line.
Yeah, what I know... Well, the opening line becomes the chorus. Like the opening line becomes, because the first thing I say is what the song is about.
Sure, okay.
But then you need a different way to tell it. So then when you expand it out, like, okay, this is the middle verse, so you can say, all right, here's where we are. Now I can get to here, and I can go away from here.
Got it.
So it's amazing, because that is literally, I don't use that methodology as structure. It just occurs.
Okay.
Because when I come up with a thing that I really like, I'm like, this is great. I wind up realizing, oh, this is the middle.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trick for any writing is just not fighting your process.
Yeah.
Is just, like, whatever the part that you're most excited to get to, do that, and then figure out the rest. Work backwards, forwards, whatever you need to do.
But for as much as that hasn't changed in 30 years, look at our approach to everything we do, how it's changed in 15 years.
Sure.
32 years if you add it all the way out. And look at all the different careers, not
Sure.
specifically challenges.
I got it.
And then look at how I just lost it.
I mean, you're talking about two different things, art and business. Like, business has a
but
clearly
the way
defined...
we do our business is an art, Dal. Our business is art.
No.
What we do, we are artists creating art.
Incorrect.
In the form of commerce.
The thing that makes art different from business is business has a clearly defined way of determining whether you were successful or unsuccessful. If you're making money, you're successful. If you made more money than you did before, you're successful. Art? Did you have fun doing it? Was it enjoyable? Do you look back fondly on it?
Did you make money on it? Did
No,
people buy it?
that's the thing. For art success, you need to disengage the concept of, like, did it do well financially? Like, then it's business. When you're selling music, that's a business, and again, you can determine whether it was successful or unsuccessful by
I think it's
money
a
it's making.
dangerous
Art's different.
slope when your
Art doesn't have to have money attached to it.
mitigating factor is, did you have fun doing it? Mr. Dahmer, did you have fun doing it?
That's not an art. That's murder. I'm talking about things like songwriting.
What about
Like-
the art of chicken? Do you have fun eating it?
I do, yeah.
It is art.
Sometimes a little dry, though. It was a little dry this week.
Yeah.
I think that's usually your main criticism with the art of chicken is that you find it to be dry. I don't usually mind it that much. This week, I think it was a little on the dry side. I like their sides, though.
The thicker it gets,
Mac and cheese was good.
then it's more noticeable when it's dry.
I
When
guess
you have a giant breast piece.
It's a nice meaty bird. I really like it.
Okay.
I don't know that's my favorite. I mean, I think Parsons probably edges it out as far as like... Right? Parsons is real good.
Parsons edges everybody out. Think of how many years I did not go there.
It's true.
Not for any reason, just never did.
You just didn't think of it. You didn't know what you were missing.
But it was only because of Cocktail Fridays during the pandemic when Gina and I realized we can order craft cocktails from Parsons to be delivered, changing everything.
Yeah. Thank goodness for, what was it?
Cocktail Fridays.
Cocktail Fridays.
Yeah, which I am, I'm not a dry January person.
No.
However,
Inadvertently
this year I have been. And even earlier, Bob had messaged saying it's Friday, damn it, with a photo of his old fashioned.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, I can't. Not doing it right now.
Soon enough.
Can you prove that? Can you tell me when exactly?
I can't.
Could I write that down on my calendar?
I cannot.
We'll make it go. It'll be fine. I haven't read it yet, but I'm excited to read the preview we got from Boom for the Harrower #1, the new Justin Jordan horror book.
Yeah, and Bram Revel. I'll sit down with
Yeah.
it in a bit. I didn't have a chance today, unfortunately. I meant
Yeah,
to, because when I saw that, I'm like, oh, cool, I can read this and talk about it. Didn't have time.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to us to be able to convey that information ahead of time.
Sure.
While I was on with David Harper, right afterwards, I got a text from a creator who is friends of ours saying that he had just listened to the episode and he's got a lot of like really important to him stuff coming out this year. What can he do to make sure it's on retailers' radar?
Sure.
And what can he do to help people? And I said, hey, thanks so much for reaching out. I'm in a warehouse right now. Let me get back to you tonight, but I'm going to do it via email so I could really...
Dig in.
Yeah, I could write a lot more.
#1, try and have Batman in it. That's my advice to any creator. Whenever they're like, what can I do to make my book sell better? Try and have Batman in it.
Batman in it. So over 2 days, I gave him a bunch of things, but it's difficult because this is a creator who is well known in the industry
Yes.
and doesn't have the hurdles that a lot of other creators might. And I had to keep saying, like, I'm not trying to overly flatter you, but your name alone is a huge step.
Yeah, the floor of the sales for any book that you're going to create at a non-Marvel DC publisher is going to be substantially higher than the ceiling for a lot of other creators.
And then I'm like, look at the things you do. And I laid out the things that, like, their occasional newsletter.
Right.
Even though it's just to readers, I'm like, as a retailer, you're still giving me a lot of information I didn't have
Sure.
in this. And, so that's a big help.
Right.
And, your last major book, creator-owned book, we got PDFs in advance from the publisher. So that's that's the #1.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everyone is the #1, aside from have Batman in it. Get us as many issues in advance before initials.
#1, have Batman in it. #2, preview PDFs. #3, and I cannot stress this one enough, returnability on at least the first issue. You need to make that happen, because without that, I'm going to be very cautious about what I order, no matter who the creator is. There's always a chance that you could be a big-name creator, and you launch your own creator-owned thing someplace else, and your readership doesn't follow you for whatever reason. It could be the genre, it could be the artist, it could be the publisher, it could be a lack of awareness, it could be any number of things. But there's no guarantees in comics publishing. So you got to give me a safety net so that I can take a risk on your book, hoping that your audience turns out, or that I'm able to get people into your property. Without returnability, what if I have to order thinking, what if I can't do either of those things? What if I can't get people into it? What if I can't guarantee that your audience is going to follow you, and I got to order towards that number instead?
What if more publishers did the book publisher mentality, or forgive the analogy, the bad idea method of and not the bad idea. Bad idea is the wrong. Like bad idea is like follow our rules or else. But what if publishers came to us and said, "Hey, if you hey, here's a point of purchase display, or here's an end cap. Like if you give us this end cap, we will give you 5 more points on a discount." Or, if they make it worth our while financially, would we
go on?
Would we go for it?
No. What I found out very quickly with the bad idea stuff was that our agreement to do that meant that we were locked into promoting books that you're promoting issue 3 of a series, and you might not have one anymore. So it's just a counter dump where it's like you save people walking 10 steps. Like this is not valuable promotional space for me as a store anymore. It's just an outlet for some other publisher. Like,
okay, what if it wasn't single issues, or what if it was trade releases, or what if it was fresh? It was every month. It was a different.
The only reason I would do it is if I was getting returnability that I could not get another way.
Okay.
Additional discount points is a nice thing to offer, but not nearly as good as returnability.
What aside from additional discount points, returnability, what else could they offer to make it worthwhile?
Nothing. Most of the promotional tools are like, we'll put you on our website, or we'll tweet out your store on our company account or whatever. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't know that those things are going to be helpful or valuable to me at all.
I mean, I would have said a trip to Cabo, but you don't want to fly.
I don't want to go to Cabo.
You can go to Cabo Wabo for Sammy's birthday bash.
That's why I don't want to go.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but returnability, that's the only thing that moves the needle for me as a retailer.
What about bleacher seats to Wrestling Kingdom 18?
Maybe. Bleacher seats, maybe.
Well, I'm not, they're not going to get front row. Come on.
Of course not.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on, let's go.
Hey, come on, let's go. Yeah, it's returnability. I will never stop beating that drum because that is the easiest way to get me as a retailer to increase my orders, and also as a retailer allow me to have a little bit of confidence that I'm not losing my shirt on this. Like, if it's returnable, I in some cases I might double my order.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's we've done that before.
And I'm not going to do that if I'm getting
up to 4 copies.
Yeah, right. I'm not doing that if I'm getting an additional 5 or 10% off. Instead, I'm just going to go, okay, I'll just take the discount points and order what I was going to order before and make more money off of it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and sell an additional 5 copies just because those 5 copies now net me an additional 30 cents a copy. I don't care. Returnability. Like, make it something where I can stock your book without worrying that I'm going to get stuck with it. That's it. Because single comics, I get stuck with all the time from everybody. So you take away that fear, that
from publishers, from subscribers.
Yeah, man.
Hell, from me.
From anything. Molly Jane's been so happy the last few weeks because DC's we have to give you returnability because we just announced that we're selling things, or we're offering things on a digital streaming platform, day and date, means that all this stuff that we ordered suddenly becomes returnable.
Yeah.
And we got to return a lot of it. It's great. We're getting a lot of money back from Lunar. It's awesome.
It's funny how when she's now in charge of returns, it used to be my job, and I would do it the second they offer, like, all right, the window opens now. You have 28 days for these books, so you can return them starting now for 20 days. I'm like, great, return them now.
Right.
And Molly's attitude is, let's see if we can sell some more and actually make a little bit more money. I'm like, nope, get rid of them.
Yeah, right.
But
I don't want to see them.
Fine, she's doing it. She can do it her way.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to tell her how to do it.
And it's helped us out a couple times where I think like Rogues Gallery #1 got announced as like under development, and so we sold like 10 copies off the website, and it was something that was returnable.
But she'd held back
a few weeks
on.
earlier. But
Yeah.
she's like, let's wait, and sure enough, like we sold an additional few copies, which is great.
Yeah, like I said, when it's her effort, I'm fine letting her do it.
Yeah, I think it's personal preference at that point, and I'm fine with her preferring to do it a different way. Doesn't bother me, as long as it gets done.
Yeah, that is the model, as long as it gets done.
Yeah.
As long as it gets done. I felt like I had to say that at least once correctly, because I didn't seem like that was actually happening. I know that it's only January 13th, and I know that today was a horrible sales day.
Yay.
But the year has felt okay so far.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird because I'm constantly confused by what's coming out because I've already done invoicing for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, for example, you had written down that a club member had wanted to add 2 titles to the list.
Okay.
And for the life of me, I could not figure out what the book Warp was. W-A-R-P.
Okay.
And I'm like looking it up. I'm sorry, not Warp. Wage.
Yeah.
What book has wage in it? The only thing that kept coming up everywhere, including Managed Comics, was Minimum Wage. The Bob
Right.
Fingerman book. And I'm like, what is this book? I'm like, it has to have come out this week. So I'm like, Gina, what is that word? And Gina said, wasp.
Yes, it was Wasp.
It was not written like wasp.
Yes, it was.
It definitely was not.
Yes, it was.
Then why didn't I read it as wasp?
W-A-S-P. Patrick and you need glasses.
But then I said, well, yeah, that makes sense. It came out this week. And Gina said, no, it comes out next week.
Comes out next week.
I'm like, what? She's like, it's in these boxes right here. I'm like, I have no idea when things come out.
No.
I have no idea what is this week and what isn't this week. And it's another very confusing aspect. Because before it was, hey, here's the books that are out this week. It's Wednesday. I'm getting next week's list. Not 2 weeks in advance.
And also, you don't unpack a lot of stuff.
That is a big deal. Like, not seeing the things when you unpack it. Flipping through a box when it's unpacked is not the same as having previously unpacked everything.
Yeah.
And also, just the number of variant covers is very confusing as far as...
Yep.
Do I remember this? Is that what that is? We sold out of the... was it Daredevil 181? The homage cover to...
The Frank Cho homage cover.
Bullseye. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Daredevil 181.
Was that Frank Cho? I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, I think Frank Cho is the homage artist. Some of them,
Not Michael Cho?
Stephanie Hans did a McFarlane homage for Miles Morales issue.
Yeah, I saw that today.
And if I hadn't seen her name in the...
I did not know it was hers.
In the line of the invoice, I would not have known that she was the artist.
Yeah.
Nope.
Fine. One of the subscribers today who was adding a bunch of stuff, it's all this book but cover C, this book but cover E, this book but cover B.
Yep. Okay.
But this one is cover A. I'm like, what's wrong with that one? Like, I feel like when they order cover A, there's a mistake.
All right. No, I've seen that. We're there's a few subscribers that predominantly order B, C, D, and E covers, but then sometimes we'll just be like, no, cover A is good enough.
Okay. Yeah. That's my motto. Cover A is good enough.
Yeah.
That's all I'm ever gonna get.
Yep.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
And so is this. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.